summer, which means that millions of people are on the roads, heading to and from vacation. Seeing that check engine light come on can cause major anxiety. It's never a good feeling, especially if your car's no longer covered under a warranty. And if your car is out of warranty, that light can signal expensive car repairs. This is where CarShield comes in. CarShield picks up where your warranty left off, offering vehicle service plans that can cover expensive repairs, like your engine, transmission, and AC, which could save you thousands of dollars. Here's how it works. When your car needs repairs, use your favorite mechanic or dealership, and CarShield pays them directly. That's it. It's not just a protection plan, it's peace of mind. Get a free quote by calling 800-416-6522 or visit carshield.com. That's 800-416-6522 or carshield.com to get your free quote.
The forensic evidence from Virginia Russell's murder pointed to Justin Bullard. The gun, the bloody shoes, the telephone calls to the escort service from his apartment. But Bullard had no criminal record and no apparent motive. Some of the circumstantial evidence pointed to his friend, Roy Beck. The beer bottles in his apartment were the same brand as those found next to Virginia Russell's body. And a background check revealed Beck was addicted to crack cocaine.
He was a drug addict, and obviously to feed that dragon, you got to have a lot of cash.
Prosecutor Knox McMahon thought the beer bottles at Beck's apartment and those found at the crime scene were too much of a coincidence, so he decided to take a second look.
If you look at those beer bottles, there is a born-on date and there is a code under the born-on date.
The date was October 22nd, 1996, followed by the letters WF.
W is the geographic location, in this case, Williamsburg, Virginia. Within Williamsburg, Virginia, there are multiple lines within the plant, and F designates which line the bottling took place on.
But the key piece of information was the final part of the label, the number 58. At the time, the Williamsburg Brewery produced 600 cases of beer every 15 minutes, and each of these 15-minute periods was given a number.
58 meant the 58th 15-minute period of a 24-hour day, which was 2:15 to 2:30.
But how many bottles were filled in one 15-minute period? With over 1 million beers bottled at that brewery every day, only 1% were bottled in any 15-minute period. So only 14,000 bottles would have the same code. So what would be the chances that Roy Beck would have 3 bottles of beer in his apartment with the same code as the bottle found inside Virginia Russell's car and the 2 next to Virginia's body?
The probability of that happening is incredibly small. You would have to have all the people involved at the same location at the same time buying the same beer.
The odds of the beer bottles coming from different six-packs were more than 1 in 32 million.
These 6 beers came from the same 6-pack.
Roy Beck was arrested and charged with Virginia Russell's murder. Prosecutors say Beck, desperate for money, called the escort service to arrange for an out-call, which means the girl would go to the customer's home. The first time he called the escort service, he asked that the girl meet him in his own apartment. When she arrived, Beck robbed her of a couple of $100 at knife point, then let her go. Without power, Beck moved in temporarily with Justin Bullard, and when he needed more money for drugs, called the escort service again, this time from Bullard's phone, and set up the meeting with Virginia Russell.
Sure.
He took Bullard's boots and gun and the beer from his own apartment. When Virginia arrived, Beck got into her car and they went to a deserted location. Each drank a beer and threw the empty bottles out the window. Prosecutors think Beck was acquainted with Virginia from a previous meeting and decided to kill her so she wouldn't identify him. Blood spattered on the remaining beer bottle and on the boots Beck had stolen from Bullard. Beck dragged Virginia's body onto the road, then shot her 2 more times. He stole all the money from her purses, then drove Virginia's car 2 miles away, where he abandoned it. Beck later returned Bullard's blood-spattered boots and gun to Bullard's apartment without him knowing it, setting him up for the crime. But Beck didn't know that the 3 bottles of beer left in his apartment would tie him to the bottles at the murder site and to one in Virginia's car.
It was very significant in this investigation. It was the one thing that could really put Beck at every crime, at all 3 crime scenes.
At his trial, Roy Beck insisted Justin Bullard was the killer, but the science showed otherwise. Roy Beck was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Investigators described this as one of their most unusual cases. 2 suspects, each connected to the crime by the same evidence, until something as seemingly insignificant as the label on a beer bottle showed who was lying and who was telling the truth.
That's what sank them, just those those bottles of beer. I guess he didn't have that in his plan.
The beer bottles themselves ended up being one of the more telling aspects of the case, and it's very unusual to be able to help solve a crime by the use of beer bottles and the date they were made. It's very unusual.
That's just the type of circumstantial evidence that you just don't get every day, that you just don't see every day, that people can look at it and see it, touch it, and relate to it.
The new CNN original series Diana introduces viewers to the person behind the princess and reveals a life more complicated and fascinating than the world knew. Diana, Sundays at 9 on CNN.